So here in top of AutoCAD you can see these ribbons. We have MagiCAD ribbons, HPV and MagiCAD Room. And now in this presentation I'm of course using the MagiCAD Room. And it is divided these kind of sections, general, edit and view sections. And I will go them through during this presentation. But basically all the editing happening of course in the edit mode, and with the edit story you can start a new ribbon where you have all editing functions. But before I'm starting to draw anything, let's go and check the project management. And as you can see, I have already created a project. I have drawn something with MagiCAD Room, but creating a project is a quite easy project, of course important one, but I don't go it through now because we have limited time. And I have also inserted my architectural drawing, which is 2D drawing, as you can see in here. So only these walls made with room is in 3D now. Okay, but let's check the project management. So this is the project management, and in here you can change all the information of the project. You can add walls, windows and stuff like that. And let's go quickly through everything you have in here. So first of all, this project branch. In here, when I double click, I can change the basic information of my building. Project number, project name, building name, description and things like that. And in the right side, I can change all the things which are used in calculations, heat loss calculations. For example, outside temperature, and it is like in Finland, in Tampere, we are using this minus 26 degrees. Then you can select your default roof and floor slabs in here. And you can, of course, make your own slabs in our slabs branch in here. And then you can also change the background temperature of the floor slab. If your floor is against the ground, it is the different thing when it's against outside air, for example. In your stories, you can see all the stories you have currently in your project. I have only one story now. I will copy this when I have completed my first story. I will copy it. But in stories, you can see all the spaces you have currently drawn in this story. And as you can see, I have drawn some of them. And in here, you can change the information of one space by double clicking it, or you can change multiple spaces. All the information you can see in top of this dialog, you can change all of this information. For example, if I want to change the temperature of my offices, I select my offices and right click on top of this column, and select change value in the column, and I can change it. And automatically heat losses will be updated into here. Then we have these zones, and this is kind of, you can create different color themes to your drawing. I have made two ventilation zones, supply 1 and supply 2. They have different color settings, and I have selected which rooms are belonging to this one. So I will show you how it appears in your drawing. Then in summary field, you can see all the results. And in your walls, windows, doors, slabs list, you can make your own walls, windows and doors. It is quite easy because room only needs U value and thickness of the wall. So I have made, for example, this external wall 255. If I double click it, you can see what it consists. User code, description, group, and then thickness and U value. This group is important because IFC file uses this group to define what kind of wall it is. So you can create here all exterior, interior, and structural walls. Same thing about windows. You can create your windows, different size windows, or you can use this kind of X to X windows, which during installation you have multiple options to install it. And then doors and slabs also. And in layer definitions, you can basically change all the color settings of your structures, walls and windows and stuff like that. And we have two options. We have 2D presentation and 3D presentation, because normally you want to have quite clear colors in your 2D presentation, so it's much easier to draw them, because you saw them, you will see them much easier. And in 3D presentation, you can use whatever color you want. In 3D preview, you can always check the current situation of your building. As you can see, I have drawn these spaces now. I can select different rooms here and check the floor and roof slab also. This is just you can look your building that everything is okay in it. Then I have my IFC things, which I show you later on. Okay, but that's enough about the project management, at least at the moment. And I quickly show you how to draw walls and installing windows and doors. You can see how easy it is. And of course, Room is not any architectural drawing software, so it has its limitations, but it is very fast to use, and many big companies also use it in their project. Okay, but when you want to start to editing your story, you click the edit story mode, and then I want to read all the stories. Yes, and as you can see now, the new ribbon opens in here, and here's all the things you need when you're editing anything. So you can draw walls, windows, doors, stretch walls, and change wall heights and things like that. And let's start by creating a new inner wall here, and also a few structural wall. So I click the wall. Then I select what kind of wall I want to draw. I want to draw interior wall, and I want to choose this O2, thickness 100. And here you can change the height of the wall. Then you can see that there is a screen, this green circle in here. If it hits to another object, another wall, it connects to it. But if it not, then you can start drawing from the empty space. But I will connect to this outer wall, and I will draw my wall to here. And here I have more thicker wall, structural wall. I will change my wall, right click options, structural. I take this and I draw and connect to there. And when I want to continue, I just take again the wall, and then I connect to there, and I will draw my wall to there. And then I will connect my interior walls from here to here. I can also use AutoCAD functions like copy. I can copy this wall. It is okay. So all the AutoCAD functions are working also with MagiCAD Room. And as you can see in 3D model, you can see that it is updating all the time when I draw something. After I have drawn my walls, I will start adding windows. I click window, and as I said earlier, I can of course install this default sizes windows when I, for example, select this 1400 again 1200 window, these width and height are disabled. I can change them. I can only change the lower edge of the window from the floor. So how high is the bottom edge of the window from the floor. And if I install this, I click the wall and I can change the position of the window. And when I want to install it, I just click. I want to install it here, and I want to install it here and here. Then I have another option also. If I select this window X to X, I can basically install maximum width and height window. So if I have glass wall, I can use these options and I get as big window as big the wall is. Or I can, for example, use this define width during installation, which is great function when you want to draw exactly the same width windows that in architectural model. Of course, you want to do that. Then you only change the height level of the window and this elevation again. But now when I start installing it, I will show a 2 point here, for example, and here, and I get the window exact that size. I can also use AutoCAD or Snap. I can grip from this point, and as you can see now I get my window, and here they are. Now let's put one window to here. I will put this bigger window to here. Okay, and then when you want to install doors, it is kind of the same. You select the door you want to install. I want to install this 900 millimeters thick, and then I just click my wall. And when you're installing door, AutoCAD is asking here in the command line that they show the opening direction of the floor of the door. Then I show with my mouse I will show the opening, and as you can see now, if I show in here, it will be left opening. Of course, this inner door, they are not so important one, but I will install them just to show how it works. Yes. And after you have create your structures, then you have to define your spaces, because now if I want to calculate, I get these errors because the space has no any definitions. But now I will add the definitions. I click this define room. Then I just click inside of the space I want to define, and I give the user code, the room name. Oh, sorry. Actually, I will start it over. Office, the room height. Then I can add airflows manually, or I can use the by area. I will give 2 liters per second per square meter and same amount of extract air, so 100% to here. Here is air exchange rate and the temperature for this space. And super art temperature also I will put, for example, 20 degrees. And transfer air, I will use the same air temperature that is the surrounding spaces. So basically this means if you have more extract airflow in your space, you need to have this kind of transfer air. And if I use the outside air, then it causes some extra heat losses. Now I get the transfer air from my surrounding spaces. You don't have to define this roof and floor slab because room does it automatically. It checks if there are any warm space against this office, if it found some space in top or bottom of it, it automatically create intermediate slab. But if it doesn't, then it automatically create a roof, slab, or floor. Then just click OK, and then click another office. You automatically get next free user code. I just click there and I click all my offices, and then the stairway, I will change the name of it. And also I will put a little less airflow to there. Okay, and after that I have defined my spaces and I want to calculate heat losses and everything. I click the Save, Calculate and Update text. And as you can see, no errors anymore, and you get this yellow space boundary which shows you what is the kind of space limits in either space. Then you can of course add columns and beams, but I don't add them now to my model. And then with these functions you can stretch walls, and for example if I want to change this wall, I can do it with stretch wall, and everything that is connected to this wall will be stretched with it. Change wall height, you can do it by here, or you can double click wall and change the information of that wall, of course, but then you have to do it one by one. With this function you can change all the inner walls or all the outer walls at the same time. Okay, but when I have done my calculations, then I always have to use this close edit mode, because if this find out that I have made some changes and I haven't used this calculate functions, when I close edit mode, it asks me to do that. But now when I have already saved it, it just ends the editing mode. Yes, and now let's go back to the project management. And as you can see in 3D preview, my new spaces are here also. And when I want to, now I have similar stories, for example 3 similar stories, then I always should complete this one story and then copy it, because why drawing them from the scratch. So I select my stories, click my story 1 and right click it and take copy story. Then I give new story name and position. Now my story 2 is in same position, but Z value is changing. And my story 1 is height 3.2 meters. So my second store beginning from 3.2 meters. This default height means that when you are starting to draw walls, you get this height level to your wall dialog by default. Then just OK. And now when I have used this kind of user code from 100, I can easily change the room numbering. I just change the first number to number 2, and these other 2 will inherit from this story 1. So when I now click OK, my story 2 spaces are numbered the same way, but only the first number is changed. Because you can't have same user code in different spaces. And now I once more copy the story. I make story 3, 6.4 meters and 2. And now I put 3 question mark. Okay, so now I have 3 stories in my building. Of course, I should make a DVG file for each floor to each story to make it more simple. when I want to edit, for example, this story tree, but I don't have to if I don't want, because in this stories list, I can also always change the story that I want to edit, for example, my story tree. I select it from the list, OK. And as you can see, now I'm editing my story tree. So if I, for example, draw something, for example, in here, exterior wall, for example, I will draw that kind of wall and define this room. I will just put extra room. OK. And then I save it, close the edit mode and go back to the project. So now I edited my story tree. So as you can see in 3D preview, my extra floor is in there. But I always advise customers to use own DVG files for each story, because then it is much simpler to, you are always editing the correct story. You accidentally don't edit, for example, your second story or something like that. Okay, but now I will change my story one back. Yes, so here is what you can do with MagiCAD Room, very quickly, of course. But now this zone thing, you can create this color themes, and when you click show object function from here, you can basically change this room tag. You can select what information you want to show. For example, I want to show the user code, I want to show net area and net volume, and supply airflow, extract airflow, and calculated heat loss. As you can see, now my room tag shows all this information. Here you can see that I need radiator switch or other heating unit that will produce almost 700 watts. And in show object, you also have this functional zone. If I want to show my ventilation zones, okay, you can see that now this color themes will be displayed in this drawing. Yes, so you can select what kind of information you want to show. And immediately, if I now edit the story, if I, for example, erase this window, you can see that what's in here. When I save, calculate, and update it, it automatically calculates the new heat loss values. Okay, but I will put my window back. Okay. But I think that, and in summary, you can see all the areas calculations, airflow calculations, structures, how much heat losses are they causing, ventilation, and total heat losses. But I think that now we are ready to create an IFC export from this room model and import it to Riuska. So just click IFC export, spaces and structures, okay, and I will put it, for example, my room folder. Office building London, for example. This is some office building in London. Save, and IFC file will be created. I get the information what was exported to IFC, and none of the object failed. So now I have the IFC file. I can, of course, look the IFC file from, for example, some of my IFC viewer, Solibri, Tekla, BIMside, or any viewer you have. You can check how this IFC file is look. I can open it, for example, with my DDS viewer. And just quickly show you. So here is my building. And you can also use this IFC file. You can append to this same IFC file any of your HPV or electrical stuff, and they will be inside of this building. You don't need to have IFC file from architectural. Okay, but now let's jump to the Riuska. So I have already imported that same IFC file in here to Riuska. It is very fast to do it, and I have also made a new project, and basically I just give a name to the project, office building .rsk. So this is the Riuska project file. This includes all the information. You only have this one file, and it includes everything. And then I have give the name to my simulation project. I have made one simulation case. You always have to create one simulation case when you start in the project. And then I have select my building location. As you can see, now the location is Great Britain, London. And I can change it from here in edit. And we have currently quite many countries and cities in our weather data list. And this is updating all the time when customers asked us to add some specific city. And this is the yearly data. This is used in energy calculations, but you can change the design day. If you want to run, for example, cooling calculations or any other conditional calculation, you can change the design day information. As you can see now, it uses minimum and maximum temperature 19 degrees to 28 degrees. I can change the information in here, but this only affects to your conditional calculation. This does not affect your energy calculations. It always uses this yearly data. But this is great to have these options to change the design day information. Okay, and this is basically the main view of Riuska. I haven't changed anything. You have these pull down menus in here. You can change your constructions, import new windows, change the schedules and things like that. But I normally don't use these because from the pull down menu, because I change this information during this project. When I want to change my wall, for example, then I can create a new wall from the wall list also. So basically these pull down menus, they just go to the same place where I can go to the different wall list also. And when you start your Riuska project, you can see in the left these ventilation space groups. You only get one ventilation space groups, and all the spaces are belonging to that one. But I have divided my space group to different sections. I have used meeting rooms with variable air volume system. It includes meeting rooms and break rooms. Then I have offices cooling beam. All my office buildings are belonging to this space group. And then there are other spaces which are belonging to constant air volume system. So I don't have any available spaces. This should be the situation always in the project, because the available spaces are not taken into account in energy calculations. And basically what I have done in meeting rooms, for example, if I click the meeting rooms, you can see that it automatically opens this AC system. And you can see here that I have used variable air volume and schedule that my air handling unit is turned on from Monday to Friday from 7 to 6 p.m. And you can change this schedule. You can create any kind of schedules you want in your schedule dialog. Day schedule, week and year schedule. And this schedule now always uses the same week and day schedule, this Monday to Friday 7 to 8. But you can create different schedules for each week if you want. So it is very flexible. One limitation we have is that the air handling unit is even on or off. So if you want to have, for example, 50% of power of your air handling unit, you have to use this kind of method that you use every other. So then it basically has the half power. And then also you can change the information. I have now changed the supplier temperature, which is blown into the spaces. You can change them in here. Then you can change, if you don't have any cooling coil, you can take it off, or heating coil. And then you can edit your recovery unit and select what kind of recovery unit is in your air handling unit. And you can manually change the efficiency of supply air. And before you can start any calculations, I quickly just showed offices also. Here I have selected cooled beam, and we have these 4 options: constant, variable air volume, cooled beam and induction unit. Cooled beam and induction unit basically works in the same way. And when you want to calculate the cooling power, how much additional cooling you need, then you have to use this cooled beam system type. Another thing you have to do before you start calculate is to check your wall type, because when you're drawing walls in room, they are not exported in Riuska, the information of the wall, because Riuska is energy calculation software, so it needs more detailed information. So for example, if I want to change all of my outer wall types, I can select from here, where are the spaces, I can select one space and check what kind of construction it includes: external wall, internal wall and roof. For example, this office, which is in my 3rd story. But when I want to change all the outer walls, I can select all the spaces from the list using Ctrl A. Then in construction list, now I can see all my structures in here. But if I want to select only outer wall, I can right click, show options and only external walls. Now only external walls are showing, and I can select them all using Ctrl A. And as you can see in the model, all my outer wall are now selected. And if I want to change the outer wall, I right click and edit. Riuska always use this OW01 concrete sandwich wall. And if I want to change it, I click here the show library button. And I can change it. I can check what kind of walls I have. I can edit these wall types. For example, now I just want to edit my concrete sandwich wall, which has U value 0.17. So here you can see the material is concrete, some insulation and again concrete. But if I want to add more insulation, for example mineral wool or something, I just click right click here and new. And then let's see, it takes a while now. Okay, so now the new material list opens, and I can select, for example, that I want to add mineral wool 1 and 50 millimeters. I can immediately see the new U value of this structure. If I change this for 100, U value is getting better. I add this mineral wool 50 millimeters, and as you can see here, material layers ordered from inside to outside. So I want to move this mineral wool before concrete. And now I just close this, and as you can see, the U value is updated, and I can click OK. But if I want, I could of course select another wall type or make completely my own wall in here. But I don't do that now. And then when I have selected all my outdoor walls, I select them again. You can see from the window and door constructions all the windows that are placed to my outer wall. So if I want to edit my window type, I can again select all the windows or just the specific ones, and then right click and edit. I have only actually I have now imported some of the windows in here, but I can go to library and right click and import from public window library, and I can see all the windows we have available in this list, and I can arrange them, for example, according to U value. And then I can select one or multiple windows to my project. And when I have selected them, I can select what kind of window type I want to use. And also I can select the window frame type if I want. If I have some wooden or aluminum frame, I can select it. It affects to the U value. If I have selected only one window, then I could see the U value, total U value in below this frame type. But now when I have multiple windows, I can't see that information. Then I can select if I have some blinds that are causing, of course, shading to the room. I can select how much of the window area they are covered and how much is the shading rate. And with the help file, you can see this kind of, if you have 3 glass window and you insert your shadings in inner spacing, they are causing 53% of shading rate. So I have used that 53. Then you can add different kind of cover plate in front of your window, and then also this kind of fins if you have in top of right or left side in your window, this kind of fins which are also causing shadings to your window and your wall. You can also make an own schedule for your blinds, then when they are on and off, and or use this kind of blinds which are used only when the direct solar load is exceeding the limit you are giving to this dialog. Now I have changed my windows. So this is the thing you have to do. You have to change the walls and windows to correct one, and then you have to also, before the calculations, you have to change the space type for each space. As you can see, all my spaces have the same space type, office room. And I can arrange my spaces according, for example, the space name. And then I can easily change, for example, all my toilets. Right click, edit space data. And here in space type, I can change that now I want to use, for example, I think I have here I have toilet. And as you can see, now these values are changing. So how much the temperature should be in summertime and in winter time. And how much is the airflow in that toilet. If I want to edit this, I don't want to have 4 liters per second per square meter. I click here, show library again, and select my toilet. And here I can see the quality level. I double click it, and I can change that I only want half liters per second per square meter airflow. I can also change these limits in here. And then if I want to update my specific thermal loads and this quality level, so these values will be taken into use. And as you can see, the space type changes to toilet, And this is what I have to do to each space groups. Of course, I can use the office room if I want to have the same kind of condition to each space. And for example, in this office, I have limits that in summertime, when the air handling unit is turned on, the temperature can't go over 26 degrees. And this is the limit how it calculates the additional cooling load in that space. Okay, but for example, if I will change the stairway, edit space data, and I think I have some office corridor, for example, in here, I will use that one. And I can make my own space types again, and I can edit like I just showed you. So it is not any problem in there. Okay, but I'm not changing all the type. I want to show you some calculation before the time is running up. And one more thing before calculations, each space type consists their own thermal loads. So for example, in this office room, I have these thermal loads: people, lighting, and equipment. For example, in this people, you can see that I have selected that I have 0.1 persons per square meter in that room. And when they are in that room, in conditional simulation, they are in that room all the time from 8 to 5 p.m. But in energy calculations, they are only 80%. By average, they are only 61% in their office during the day. So this is like the worst case scenario, and this is like the more reality situation. And you can change this schedule, of course. You can make every. This is very flexible, so you can change it in any way you want. You can even change the working clothes of people. Same thing, lighting and equipment. You can give watts per square meter or watts, and when the lights are on. Again, same thing with the equipment. And now when I want to start my calculations, for example, let's check this cooled beam system type. So as you can see in here, this is my space additional cooling. And now you can see there are some watts in here. And if I now, when I selected that I want to have a cooled beam from Monday to Friday, 7 to 6, this automatically changes to 50 watts per square meter. This is just a default value. But when I want to calculate the real situation, then I can select multiple offices, or I can select, for example, these 3 offices, and right click and run space condition simulation. If I use this condition calculation, it doesn't change this cooling power. So you can define the cooling power and check what kind of condition you have in this room. But if I want to calculate how much cooling load I need besides that supply air, then I use sizing plus condition. And I can also use comfort simulation if I want to. And when I now click OK, these 3 offices additional cooling load will be changed in here. Let's check. Now it takes surprisingly a long time. Normally it is okay. Because I selected comfort simulation, it makes this a little bit slower. If I don't select the comfort simulation, this is much faster because now it has to run much more calculations to spaces. Okay, but now you can see that the additional cooling load changes. In this space I need more than 50, and in these spaces I need less than 50 watts per square meters. And in here you can see the maximum temperature of this room. Now it is of course that 26 degrees because the cooling load is calculated. But for example, if I change the cooling load in here, I will put, for example, only 200 watts cooling load to this space. And now I run this condition simulation. As you can now see, this maximum value went to the red because now this temperature exceeds this limit, 26 degrees. So now I should add more shadings or add more air volume to that, airflow to that space to get this value smaller. So you can check different kind of situation with this calculation. Same thing with this constant air volume, for example. If I select now, for example, I take my, for example, this corridor, and I run space condition simulation, only condition. So it uses these airflows, not changing anything. You can see that all of these are red. And if I click F4, I can get this kind of result, calculation result, and I can see all of this diagram, how much thermal loads is in that room and what is the current temperature situation in this design day, airflow rate, cooling in the ventilation system, and stuff like that. So if I now want to, for example, this one corridor, I want to run sizing plus condition to this space where I have constant air volume. Now it basically grows that airflow so much that this temperature goes under the limit. As you can see now. Again, I should took the comfort simulation off, but now you can see that I need almost 700 liters per second supply temperature with the 21 degrees temperature to get to this 26. Okay, and you should make this calculation to each room, of course, before energy calculations, but I will show you the energy calculations now. When you have done all these condition simulations, then you go to your ventilation space group, right click and run space group energy simulation. Then you select that which ventilation space group you want to do that. I want to do it to all of them. Run calculate, and now it's calculating the energies. And like I said, I should have made this condition simulation first to all of these stories, but now I haven't. So my energy is not in real now. But as you can see, after the calculation in this system dialog, you can see your current heating energy, electric energy, and they are divided again these kind of sections. You can put your domestic hot water, you can change all the settings in here. You can Riuska is automatically simulated the fans, electricity of fans, that how much they are causing. You can add other electricity, how much, for example, hot water circulation pump is causing electricity and things like that. Then in heating energy, there is this kind of edit primary energy proportion. So if I click that one, I can change how the heat is produced to my building. Now it uses the district heating with annual efficiency 1. But if I, for example, want to use heating pump, I double click it and set that my AC system, my spaces, and other things are, these all are warmed with the heat pump with the heat efficiency of 3. Then I put zeros to this one. Okay. And now all of my purchase energy goes to the electric energy because I use heat pump. So you can basically create different kind of things. You can use solar heating for your domestic hot water, for example. So you don't have to have 100% in heat pump. You can, for example, put free energy in your domestic hot water 50% and then heat pump produce 50%, for example. Then I get on-site renewable energy in here.